My eye was caught with the glimpse of something shining in the bottom of the ditch. I reached my hand down and picked it up. It made my heart thump, for I was certain it was gold. Then I saw another piece.
The gold had been there all along. It had been rumored about and written about, but now it was finally discovered. Even today, it is common knowledge amongst the gold miners and geologists that 80 to 90% of the gold is still in the ground. It just costs too much to mine. Such is Sacramento's history, and many believe such is her future. But Sacramento's true gold would not be found in minerals in the earth, but in the hearts of her people. Few possibilities spark greater excitement than the chance of getting rich quick. Not surprisingly, when gold was discovered, thousands came hoping to gain their fortune. What most found was far less thrilling. Soon, cholera would strike, killing 10 to 15% of Sacramento's inhabitants. Within a few years, 1 in 4 would die from floods, fires, or disease. With such a desperate need to bury the dead and comfort the living, pastors came, accepting the challenge. While many fled the outbreaks of disease, a handful of ministers remained, placing the lives of their own families in peril.
My name's Grove Deal. I'm a doctor, and I became one of this city's first chaplains. There aren't words to describe the trauma, the tribulation, and the calling I experienced my first years in Sacramento, with multitudes arriving by ships. Along with a few other pastors, we would gather under the shade of oak trees, much like this one, and share the good news of God's love. You must understand that the desperation of our city's first citizens was so great that we endeavored to meet both the natural and the spiritual needs of those who often arrived sick, debilitated, and penniless. We stood up to this challenge, because after all, if our Creator was willing to do the same for a dying world, how could we say no?
I'm Morton Briggs, and I fought for the humane and equal treatment of immigrants who are not openly accepted upon arrival in Sacramento. The first group that comes to mind is the Chinese.
Let me tell you, when that wave of barbarism first swept over the coast and the Chinese were mobbed and churches burned for the crime of teaching them the gospel, his clarion call was heard above the storm in defense of that oppressed race.
In 1851, when outsiders lobbied to make California a slave state, I came out like a lion against the mistreatment of blacks. I had to stand for justice. I figured if Jesus was willing to die on the cross for what was right, then I was more than willing to face a little persecution.
And boy, did that cost him dearly. My name is John Fremont, first Senator and Governor of California. I'm living proof that when it comes to doing what's right, there is no separation between church and state. I might have been a politician, but more than anything, I was a man of God. I love the Bible so much, I would memorize up to 300 scriptures a day. I would have been a shoo-in for president in 1856 had I supported slavery and accepted the Democratic nomination, but instead, I made the tough decision and declined the offer, refusing to compromise on what I knew was right.
In each of our lives, there are values passed down from previous generations that are well worth preserving, while others are best discarded. Now, it is our turn to mine the spiritual riches of our Christ-like ancestors, the reservoirs of those who have gone before us. It is our time to represent Jesus well. It will cost us much, but in the end, will be so worth it.